Good afternoon. I hope you've had a good time in South Carolina. I bet the weather was great down there during this time of the year. I've never been to South Carolina. I would like to hear more about where and what you are exploring on your travels. Mary, congratulations on retiring as a teacher last year. Teachers are the engine that educate the youth of this nation. John, that's great to hear about your successful business exit and your next chapter in your life. We are going to go over your financial plan today. In our previous meeting, I learned about the people who are important to you, your finances, your liabilities, and what both of your goals are. Your financial goals were identified and prioritized as followed. Reduce any estate and gift tax liability and ensure all estate planning documents are in order. 2. Review insurance contracts and discuss the implications of purchasing a long-term care policy. 3. Reduce personal income taxes. 4. Based on your risk tolerance level, recommend a diversified portfolio that meets your investment needs and expectations. A few other goals I identified are the stamp you inherited from your father. I'd like to discuss the taxes if you sold it in 10 years from now. Also, I want to discuss your investments and how to mitigate taxes by growing the investments over time and how to give them to your children in a tax-effective, efficient way. We will discuss these goals in depth and provide comprehensive advice for you two moving forward. Most of my clients feel more secure having a financial plan. If there are no questions or if there's nothing that's changed since our last meeting, let's begin. First, I would like to discuss your balance sheet or what your assets and liabilities look like as a snapshot as of December 31st, 2024. Your total assets or what you've owned or what you own are $12,008,500. Your net worth or your assets minus your liabilities is $11,936,994. Now I'd like to discuss your current ratio, which is your short-term assets divided by your short-term liabilities. This ratio is 70, which indicates your short-term assets compared to your short-term liabilities is very strong. I think you have too many assets in CDs, and I suggest you move a portion of your CD funds into your mutual fund investments. This will allow you to stay diversified across the entire market and have the assets grow over the long term. Also, with your short-term liabilities, the CFP believes in having 3 to 6 months in essential expenses on the sidelines in your savings account, although every client is different. So I'd like to have a discussion on how much you should have in your emergency fund and feel good about moving your CDs or CD funds to your taxable mutual fund portfolio. When looking at your current liabilities, I believe you should pay down the credit card debt from vacation. Credit cards have high interest rates on outstanding balances and also can impact your credit score. I would recommend using your savings account funds to bring your credit card balance to zero. Let's discuss your income and expenses in 2024. John, your salary was $12,000 and your Social Security benefit was $26,400. Mary, your Social Security benefit was $13,200 and your pension paid out $24,000 throughout the year. John, you received a partial sale from your business, 20% of the total business sale, which is $760,000, and then 3 installment payments over the last 3 months of the year. This comes out to be $1,138,849 with the business sale so far. Also, you received $235,615 in investment income, When comparing your income and expenses, you had a net disposable income of $874,152 in 2024. In 2025 and future years, the cash coming in will be increased. The installment receivables will be $121,426 per month. That totals $1,457,117 per year, and the installments will last for 7 years. This increases your net disposable income to $1,192,415 per year if all the other cash coming in or cash inflows and expenses stay the same. Now I want to discuss your insurance coverage. Your primary residence fair market value of the building is $775,000. We don't include land when accounting for homeowners insurance. The primary homeowners insurance face amount is $400,000. This ratio of coverage is 0.533 of your home, which is a large shortfall if anything ever happened to your home. You should increase your primary homeowners coverage to make up at least $80,000 of the fair market value of your primary home, $620,000. The coverage on the vacation home is okay with a fair market value of your home at $550,000 and the homeowner's coverage of $460,000. This ratio is 0.83, and we could increase the homeowner's insurance on the vacation home given it is below the fair market value. Also, the market anticipates that inflation will increase in the future, and usually when inflation increases, home prices increase as well. I think with that in mind, you should increase your homeowner's policy on your vacation home and your primary home to the fair market value. The automobile coverage is sufficient. I think it might be a good idea to get umbrella insurance as well. Umbrella insurance provides coverage beyond the limits of your other insurance policies, or for claims that may not be covered by liability policies. This can be discussed with the insurance agent and me in future meetings. With life insurance coverage, you are both adequately covered if one of you were to pass. If one of you were to pass, the other would receive the face amount tax exempt. I would recommend a long-term care policy for each of you. The policy is a comprehensive policy that allows each spouse to share the other spouse's policy benefits. The benefits will be paid for 3 years or up to $360,000, whichever comes first. The annual premiums are $6,400 for John and $5,190 for Mary. If you itemized your taxes as a couple, John could reduce this premium by $5,880 with a medical deduction, and Mary, you could get a $4,710 deduction in 2024. This will reduce your taxes in the given year, and this is one of your goals. Now, let's view your investment portfolio and look at the diversification of your taxable accounts and retirement accounts. You are willing to accept risk in your accounts, and I will provide investment strategy and asset allocation that will achieve your investment goals. You want to avoid investing in tobacco stocks because you had a sad event with your parents passing away due to lung cancer. I'm very sorry for your loss. To provide an update on the market and economy, The market is expected to have interest rates and inflation increase in both the short-term and long-term forecast. The risk-free rate is 2.5% and the inflation rate is 2.75%. Looking at your non-qualified assets or accounts, taxable accounts, you have a stock portfolio and a mutual fund portfolio. The stock portfolio has a fair market value of 940,000 with a portfolio beta of 1.05, a little bit higher than the market beta. The 4 stocks in the portfolio have a total cost basis of total cost basis of $960,000, and the total portfolio has a cost basis above the fair market value. The taxable mutual fund portfolio has a fair market value of $2,907,682 with a total cost basis of $2 million. We will need to be more diversified with the stock portfolio so the portfolio grows on a risk-adjusted basis over time. The stock portfolio is underperforming the overall market as well. The stock portfolio should move to this mutual fund portfolio to get more diversification and better risk-adjusted return figures over the long term. The stock portfolio funds moving to the mutual fund portfolio, you can realize a $20,000 loss to offset gains in your portfolio this year or at a future date. Also, we need to look at the mutual funds and make sure they don't hold any tobacco stocks. Another recommendation is to use a municipal mutual fund with your taxable assets to minimize the tax consequences going forward. We can also discuss tax mitigation strategies for your taxable accounts as well. If you agree to these recommendations, we will allocate the stock portfolio funds appropriately to the 5 mutual funds to match your risk tolerance. We can discuss the specifics in a future meeting and how that will look going forward. Now let's look at John's 401k account. You've grown the assets to a fair market value of $1,054,540 with the beneficiary as the Salvation Army. By giving your 401k assets to the Salvation Army, a charitable gift, this will provide support to people in need. To help support your goal of giving to the Salvation Army and reducing your taxes, I would recommend changing your beneficiary to your spouse and give your required minimum distributions, which are distributions you are required to withdraw from your 401k account, to the Salvation Army. Required minimum distributions start at the age of 73 years old and continue until your tax-deferred account doesn't have a balance. With giving to the Salvation Army, this will reduce your overall tax burden and support people in need. The required minimum distribution is a calculation depending on the year-end balance before the calendar year you turn 73, and then is reset every single calendar year going forward. The amount required to come out of the account is roughly 4% per year, and we can discuss that more in depth in the next meeting. John, you also have another calendar year to plan for RMDs, required minimum distributions, and how to give the funds to the charity. Mary, your 403B account has a target date fund that's invested in one specific target date fund, 2025. A target date fund becomes more conservative as you get closer to the target date fund age or date, which is 2025. This assumes you might start taking redemptions out of the target date fund in 2025 or around then. Given your goal to grow the tax-deferred assets over time and give them to your children, I believe we should change the investment allocation to a more aggressive portfolio. I recommend using some of the other mutual funds available in your plan to allocate the funds in growth funds. Also, please add your spouse as your beneficiary and your children as the contingent beneficiaries for all of your accounts. John, your business was sold to a third party for $3,800,000 on September 1st, 2024. The terms of the agreement are 20% down payment for 7 years and a 4% note that will start paying monthly on October 1st of 2024. The tax basis is $875,000. Let's spread out the tax basis over the next 7 years until the installment period is over. With the funds from the installment payments, we can work on a strategy to put them into the market in a diversified manner to grow and benefit your children after you both pass, which is one of your goals. With the tax implications of the installment note, you will want to discuss that with a tax professional. John, you also told me you are going to sell the 1918 inverted Jenny stamp in 10 years for $2.6 million, and there will be a 15% commission. With you being in the top marginal tax bracket and your goal to reduce your taxes, I think you should transfer the stamp to a charitable remainder trust. Once the stamp is in the charitable remainder trust, you will avoid the 28% tax on collectible items. With the money you have from the sale of the stamp in the charitable remainder trust, you can reinvest the proceeds and then receive a fixed rate of guaranteed income each year. This charitable remainder trust can last 20 years, and after the time frame of yearly income, the account proceeds will be gifted to a charity. Capital gains are avoided by transferring the stamp into a charitable remainder trust. You received a current income tax deduction by transferring the stamp to a charitable remainder trust as well. I now want to look at your estate. The total assets you have are $12,008,500. In 2024, the first $13,610,000 of an estate is exempt from taxes. The total assets are below the exemption, but the exemption is lower at the end of 2025, meaning that the law changes at the end of 2025. In 2026, the lower estate tax exemption might negatively impact you unless the legislation and executive branches of the government change that. Also, in New Jersey, there is no estate tax limit below the federal one. There are a few assets that will go through probate if nothing is done. Probate is a timely and costly process, and I would recommend we look at the list of items that need to avoid probate. The list includes your CDs, mutual fund portfolio, installment receivable, 401k account, vacation home, your SUV, boat and trailer, and 1918 inverted Jenny stamp. We should also have your spouse as the beneficiary of these in the case you pass away. I think you should reach out to an estate attorney to discuss the charitable remainder trust for the stamp, also a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy. Also, I would want you to add beneficiaries to your non-qualified accounts. As I mentioned earlier, you should add joint tenants to a few of your assets, and an attorney would be able to help you with this. If you don't have an estate planning attorney, my firm has resources so you can look up local attorneys in your area who you might want to work with. I would also recommend having an introductory meeting to get to know their background and what their costs are. We want to make it as easy as possible in the case of death for one of you, if one of you were to pass away, or both of you were to pass away. To summarize this meeting, we covered a lot of material. We covered your current financial health, looking at your balance sheet, assets and liabilities. We also covered your cash flow and what your future cash flow will look like. We discussed your current insurance coverage and the insurance coverage we should change, increasing your primary homeowner's insurance to the fair value of the home. We also discussed long-term care insurance and the policy you should have. This long-term care policy will be paid for 3 years or up to $360,000, whichever comes first. The insurance agent who recommended you to meet with me would be able to assist with the long-term care policy and increasing the homeowner's insurance policy, most likely. I do want to disclose that if you do become a client, I will receive $4,333 as a payment from the insurance agent who referred me to you. The next thing we discussed were the investments you have and how you should manage them in a tax efficient way and have your investments grow so that your beneficiaries or children can benefit from them. For estate planning, I strongly encourage you to use your resources to find an attorney or to ask friends or family members if they had a good experience with an experienced estate attorney that is close by to you. Make sure your estate documents are in order so that there are no loose ends in the case of death. An attorney will be able to assist and make your financial plan to him or her. An attorney will be able to assist and take this financial plan to him or her if you need resources when reviewing your estate plan with the attorney. With your investment portfolio, we need to have you diversify your stock portfolio to the mutual funds and to be more tax efficient with tax loss harvesting strategies and mitigating taxes over the long term. With the majority of short-dated CDs, we can move the funds into the taxable investment account and then can grow those to benefit your children after you pass. We will exclude tobacco stocks when analyzing mutual funds to invest to grow the portfolio. We covered a lot today, and we should meet in the next 2 weeks to start to make these changes to your portfolio and address any questions that you might have. I think you should meet twice a year with me to update your financial plan. Thank you, John and Mary, for your time today. I appreciated going over everything with you, and I hope you have a peace of mind leaving here today.